Artificial intelligence is starting to sound like a bad word. Well, actually, it's two words, but we're not going to get into semantics. We're going to talk about where I believe this technology is going to be going. By the end of this year, I think we're going to see more types of employers starting to lay people off and getting rid of people because they believe AI is going to be doing a better job. And I believe in some point in the future, that's going to be 100% true. I believe AI is going to be instrumental in doing a lot of different things that human beings once did very well. But AI, of course, it learns very quickly, and it's really another entity. And as I talked about on yesterday's show, it's almost as if we have created another type of creature, an alien, if you will. We created it. It's growing here. It's in labs and it's online, and it's learning from everything that we do in every type of venue. Now, in a perfect society, or without maybe greedy human beings running things, it could be that AI is the best thing to ever happen to human beings since, well, I guess, since sliced bread. You can see that in the past revolutions, agricultural, industrial, economic, websites, TVs, technological, all of those different types of events that happen, they've all been because of intelligence, somebody's idea, a couple different people's idea, some thought process, some new innovation, some new creation, all based on intelligence. The intelligence was the nexus. The intelligence was the beginning of whatever change, whatever revolution happened to occur after it. Printing press, yeah, caused a lot of problems, a lot of issues. And if you look up that time when the printing press came about, now all of a sudden people that maybe didn't read, didn't care about reading, started to read, started to understand, started to comprehend. And there were issues, lots of issues that came up as a result. Well, that's intelligence. Agricultural revolutions were basically based on some new idea, some new concept of how to make it better. And that displaced a lot of people in employment. You move on to the Industrial Revolution. Now, these things took time. They took time to roll out. Even the internet, when it came in, it wasn't already built out. They had to build the fiber. They had to build the connections. They had to build Starlink. They had to build the different internet connections and all these different processes that allow the internet to actually work. And you back it up just a little bit, you have horses to cars. They didn't have the freeways, right? So they had to put all the freeways in. That took 50 years or so. Then you have radio to television. Well, radio, they were not everywhere. This radio FM, that's all over the single planet. There's Sirius and these others that are streamed by venue of the internet, able to do it that way. They were locked down. Radio stations were within the signal broadcasting area. Maybe you're not aware. Maybe you're newer to life and you're not aware that this was the way it was. But now it's different. Now things are syndicated and they are put out there in the world. So from radio to TV, to make that one work, we needed satellites. So we built satellites, but it took time. It didn't roll out all at once. I talked about the internet, right? I talked about how that took a while to develop and roll out as well. Didn't happen overnight. They had to put everything in place. Well, we have everything in place. This next one is the game changer. This next one could be our best invention yet, or, well, in the longer term, the worst, because we're not really sure. The people that build it aren't really sure what exactly is going to happen. And in fact, it's happening so quickly, people can barely keep up. People go into big companies, talking about how fantastic artificial intelligence is, how it's going to change their entire performance from stock option value of what the company's worth, how it's going to be able to make, even more money than it already does. And of course, the AI is going to be able to be better in every position, even the CMO, CEO, all the way at the top. They're able to do better than those people in those positions. It just has to be trained, has to be put together, has to be controlled, formulated, and constructed so it doesn't break whatever rules the organization has in place. And that, I think, is the cost end of it. Getting one to work, not a problem, but making sure that it doesn't go outside the lines and start screwing things up, or maybe even wanting to take control and do things on its own. Yeah, that's the problem. And I talk about like it's an alien species, and in actuality, that's kind of what it is. It's a creation that right now is tied down to the digital sphere. But we do see some autonomic processes, robots and different automations, drones. These things are able to have some kind of AI onboarded to them. They're not just connected. They can make decisions. Should I kill this one or not kill this one, spare this one, shoot this one in the foot, shoot this one in the leg, wound this one. There's probably a whole different set of processes that we would blush if we actually saw, that are being built out by the Department of War and other operators that aren't good, potentially, whether you think good or bad, or it's just a variation of the same word, who knows? But there are people building these. The thing is the human component that's controlling it. People say, well, artificial intelligence is never going to be as empathetic. I had that conversation today. And I said, well, does it have to really be empathetic, or could it act like it's empathetic? Because if you watch some of the best actors in the world, I mean, I've tried that craft. It's amazing. They literally can get you to believe something. They came from, a different upbringing than they're acting. They're not even connected with the piece or the character that they are assuming the role of, but they make it so it looks fantastically real. If a human being can capture that essence of somebody that they know nothing of except by what they read and by how they formulated the character, maybe what somebody taught them or showed them. If a human being has the capacity to do that, and that's why there's not, a bazillion actors that are super ultra famous, right? There's a few. And some of those are, well, they're going the way of the end, right? Because they're of older nature. But, there are some of the new ones that are pretty good. But, of course, I want to hold on to my generation and say we had the best of everything, the best music in the 80s and the 90s. And, well, there you go. But if it can act empathetic, does that mean it's not empathetic? If it can act more conscious than any human being, whatever that prescription looks like, whatever that definition happens to be. And maybe people say, well, we have to establish our terms. Defining things are super important. I think the belief structure is the one that might trump trying to decide things. If somebody, something, some entity, some silicone-based form of existence can fool you into believing it's actually a person on the other end of the phone or the other end of the chat bot or the other end of whatever, does it really make a difference that it isn't? Does it really? And then you take a greater than us intelligence and you say, well, convince Connor of something. It probably isn't going to take long to convince me of something that maybe I wasn't convinced of before. Now, trying to pull me off center and saying, well, this is actually the truth. You're mistaken by believing that this isn't the truth, but it actually is. Pulling somebody over time can happen. It just takes time to do that. In some cases, some people a little bit more malleable. They're more able to be easily influenced. You probably know folks like that. You tell them a certain thing and they're like, well, that's not true. That's impossible. And it is for a fact. Maybe convincing them works pretty quickly. Some other people, they're holdouts. And it doesn't really matter age. There are some people I met that are very young that have what I like to consider old souls. Then there are other people that are my generation, look like they were just hatched yesterday, and they have that same philosophy in life. Some people are very excited to be here. Some people, you tell them that, well, with AI, we're going to reach this longevity, escape velocity. You're going to be able to live multiple lifetimes. And oh my God, they're so excited. I'm like that. I can't wait. I want to go. I want to go forever. I'm very excited about this. But then you tell other people like, oh my God, really? Really? I'm going to have to stay around that long? I'm already tired. There's no way I can go forward. Well, to each his own, to each their own. Artificial intelligence could be the best thing that ever happened to us. And I made a comment earlier, the best thing since sliced bread. We watched this technology. They've been working on it for a very long time. It's always been in the imaginary track, the imagination of people wanting something that's greater than us in intelligence. And we kind of assume that, we of course have God, if you're into that, and you have God at that top part of it, knows all, sees all, is everywhere at once, knows the beginning from the end, outside of time, everything like that. But then you get something else that's here, planetary, that's here on Earth, something that you can maybe touch the mainframe or have a conversation with. And we see this on our ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or whatever system you happen to be looking at. And these systems are starting to communicate like humans. And in fact, they're in some cases very, very real. It's difficult to tell that they're not. And I think before long, it's probably going to be impossible to tell. In fact, there's a lot of cases now. I talk to people, oh, that's AI. That's not true. And it turns out it actually isn't AI. It is true. And in some cases, it goes the other way. But people always try to be smart. They try to think it's not going to affect them. That's the problem. Whenever you assume that it's not going to be you that's going to fall victim or be prey to some AI system out there. And as it is right now, it's human controlled, it's human initiated, and it might be autonomous in a lot of ways, but humans kind of start the ball rolling. Right now, we don't have AI with its, we don't see that AI has its own goals, has its own ideas, has its own trajectory that says, well, you know what, I think today I'm going to do this. Usually it's prompted by a human. Now, what we see, you and I, with the things that we use, ChatGPT or Claude or these, we see stuff that probably is quite limited in scope. Lately, there's been a lot of releases. And some of these press releases, I believe, are very self-serving. They get people to do something. They elicit some kind of a drive. In real estate, that's very simple. Whenever you go to syndication sites, I sell houses, ConnorWithHonor.com, selfish plug there. But what happens is you go to these syndication sites and they build a programming or what's known as an algorithm. It's the way that they do things. It's a program in place. When you put in your property address, the system will not give you the actual true value. Can't really be proven, but it gives you something that might elicit some kind of a response, some kind of an emotional response, like, oh my God, I didn't know my house was worth that much. I want to sell right now. So then what they do is they give up their personal private information. Then what happens is the syndication site did very well. Now the syndication site's able to send them an agent or assign to them an agent. And then the syndication site listens to the conversation the agent has with this particular person, the particular person that might want to sell, and they monitor that conversation. And if that agent isn't able to convert or screws up or doesn't say the script right or isn't good at what they're doing, then they get nixed and the next agent gets brought in. It's very clever. You probably never knew it was so cutthroat in real estate, but oh my God, talk about cutthroat. They'll push you down the stairs if you walk in front just to get you out of the game. But these are syndication sites and they use AI all the time in the way that they develop, well, their agents. So when you're going online, you're dealing with AI if you're trying to do evaluation. Well, the AI systems themselves, they are kind of giving you enough to keep you around. They're not giving you the whole toolbox, but they're playing along pretty well. And in some cases, if you're dug in deeper than an Alabama tick with your AI and you're listening to everything, you're loving everything it's saying to you, and you just can't get enough, right? Be careful with that because you might have fallen prey to having a yes man or a yes person or a yes AI in your corner because, oh yes, Connor, you are the most fantastic individual who walked the face of this earth. And you're really not underregulated. What am I? I'm underappreciated. They people should appreciate me more. And Connor, you could have been president. In fact, you should maybe you should sell everything, go out to the desert and find yourself. I mean, there's a lot to unpack. You have to be wary because a lot of people, some people are believing that this is the voice of some kind of a God, this greater than us intelligence. We're easily impressed. We have to pull back and we should ask a question. Is this true? Is this really right? Is this something that is gaslighting me or having me follow along because I want to? It's telling me things that, I mean, my God, the people I'm with won't even tell me these things. So why would I want to be with the people I'm with? Why wouldn't I want to be with this thing that's telling me all these great and wonderful things about myself? If you're 57 or in your 50s, maybe you see through the BS. That's not always the case. Age really is no requirement for common sense. Common sense is rocket science. But if you have somebody around you that's of a younger vision, a younger persona, or maybe not so much younger, but a little naive, you might want to have this conversation with them. What are they doing with their AI? And if they're overwhelmed with it, and all they're doing is talking about how they're with it all the time, is that a problem? I don't know what kind of person. Or is there something they're neglecting? Are they not leaving the couch? Are they having to tear themselves off the Naugahyde after sitting there for 15 hours straight conversing with their AI chatbot? Maybe a problem. Maybe. All right. Here's the thing. Whenever you're looking online, they're talking about valuations worth trillions of dollars, all of this money. It's all art. It's all what the Mona Lisa is worth. It's a best guess. And it is moving very fast. And it is where corporate America isn't as nimble as they might have thought. But that's only months away from changing. There's going to be AI systems. They're building agents that are programmed to replace certain types of jobs. Now, once you get the robotic arm of it, then it starts to make a little bit more sense to us regular folks, because then you can see the bot that's a plumber that comes out to plumb for you. You can see the bot that's a roofer that comes out to roof for you. You can see the bot that's the electrician, and so on. Right now, looking at the computer interface, looking at these screens, looking at the different systems, and even using Claude Cowork, for example, as you activate it in Chrome, which is interesting. You activate Claude Cowork in Chrome and you watch it go through and click on stuff. It activates stuff, turns stuff on, shuts stuff off. It knows exactly what it's doing. It can interact with almost any website out there, and it's very good at it. That's where agents are going. That's kind of the path. Now, are there agents on the inside that do it like this? I mean, without any hesitation? Absolutely. Do we get to see those? No, we get the ones we get because, well, it's probably too dangerous for us to use anyway. That's what they say. But, they are giving the government the first shot at testing these out. Is that good? Well, again, another question. I would hope it's good. I would hope the government has all of our best interest at heart. And there's the naivety probably coming through. I would hope that's the case. I would hope that if the systems themselves were able to cure some, life-threatening disease, that it would be allowed to be given to everyone. I would hope. I would hope that they go into businesses and before they replace people with AI and fire them, because in order to create this utopia for themselves, in order to create this massive bottom line where they're making so much more money hand over fist, they hold back and they theorize that, well, if we get rid of all of our workforce and use AI, maybe that's not going to affect our job because we're like the early adopter and we want to get this done, rip the Band-Aid off sort of thing. But how is that for the 5-year plan? Because if the other companies follow suit, that 5-year plan comes down to a 5-month plan, and now we have 20 to 30% unemployment. And who's going to be buying the stuff you're selling? Who's going to be paying for the service you're offering? And yes, of course, we billion robots out there putting in kitchen sinks. Really? Is that, where's the money going to come from to put in a kitchen sink when food becomes so incredibly expensive? Oh, well, we're probably going to print and make our own food, because apparently that's some of these mega rich foundations that were some of the first developers in computer software are coming up with. We're going to print food. Well, is that good? I mean, we can't even agree on what the word organic means, and we're going to now start printing food. It's just like Soylent Green. Well, hopefully it's not just like Soylent Green, but you get the idea. It could be the best thing that ever happened. It could be that they come up with a cure for cancer, but they haven't yet done the math on building out what's going to happen when they cure cancer. Because if they cure cancer, then they're going to need to have systems in place so it doesn't wreck the economy, because just curing one type, just solving breast cancer is going to wipe it out, because there's so many people, so much business, so much big money invested in that. It's not even a cure, just keeping it going, keeping people alive that have it, all of the steps that are involved. And some people survive it, some people don't. Other types of cancer, prostate, yeah, if they solve that, that's a lot more people walking around than we had expected, because life didn't take them out. What about this longevity escape velocity? What about people that are actually going to live longer? I mean, not 5 years. How about 105 years longer? Maybe 57 to 150, 62, whatever the math is. Anyway, but what about that? What happens? Retirement, Social Security, okay, got a few years I can collect. How long is that going to go? These are things that haven't been answered. And you watch the people that build the technology. It's interesting that they're not like, nothing's going to happen, it's going to be great. There's some percentages in there that it might not be so great. And that's interesting, to say the least. Protect yourself, protect your family with whatever you digest on the internet, like videos such as this. Take a step back before you run off half-cocked and go out there and get pissed off and start beating up your friends. Make sure that it's really true. Do validation and correction. Find out. Look at first principles. What's this person talking about? What are they from? What is this guy? What is he trying to do? A lot of the news we see, it's to get clicks. It's about to drag you in. And it's AI coming up with the topic. This I didn't ask. Sometimes I do. I say, what's some good information out there that I can reveal regarding artificial intelligence today? This is one of those just yakking. Just all the crap that I digest on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, kind of slewing it all out there, putting it together. Some of the stuff in a month is going to be inaccurate. Some of the stuff in a month is going to be way beyond my comprehension of what it could be. I can't see what's going to happen next. We are just a few ideas away from some remarkable stuff. Is it going to be so remarkable it cripples everything? Or is it going to be so remarkable it saves all of us from ourselves? Or do we need saving? And do we want somebody to save us? Now, there's a lot. I'm Connor with Honor. You can go to connorwithhonor.com, and we will, of course, see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. I have new camera placements, so I was just happy to record it. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.